everyone, it's Saturn Dave, and this is Train Co. here with me on a Friday. Thanks for joining us. It's going good, yeah. How are you doing?
Doing great. I like our new intro graphic. That looked pretty cool with the all little posters. Did you replace it with Lola Bunny? I didn't check yet.
No, actually, that was just an image I pulled. It's just like an image I pulled and clobbered stuff together to make our own little like MTV intro kind of thing. And I figured, you know, the 2 seconds of like the Nirvana probably isn't gonna trip any, you know, send any red flags. Probably isn't going to trip any.
Who are we kidding? It's probably going anyways.
Red flags.
Yeah. But anyways, it's going pretty good. Everything's going well. We got a lot of news this week, don't we? Right, Dave?
We do have a lot of news. I was just checking our latency, but we look good. Anybody in the comments, let us know if we start tripping, our audio gets ahead or behind, and I'll try to fix it because I actually figured out how to fix it now. Yeah, but
what was the issue?
The issue is like in OBS, there's like a sync, like your video takes longer to process than your audio because audio is easy. Yeah. So it was like, and your audio and video are coming from Discord, so they're kind of like baked at the same time, you know?
Yeah.
But it's like for me, my webcam was taking longer for that footage to process, or at least a couple of milliseconds longer. So I was like behind on last stream, but OBS has a sync offset. So I figured it out thanks to those YouTubers on YouTube that do tutorials.
YouTube.
That's right.
The YouTubers of YouTube that YouTube.
Oh my God, yeah. It's hot in this garage. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not in a studio, folks. I am in a garage and it's hot here. Because it's San Diego.
Arizona's not doing pretty well either. It's getting to the 90s, 100s degrees.
Yeah.
No fun.
But I can't complain because, we have had, last week I was thinking, okay, next week might be boring because we had so much news last week. But no, another like not boring week we have lots of news, lots of things to talk about.
Listen, Dave, it's never boring on the SHIRO show. We'll figure out something, whether it be me juggling glasses with JoJo on it.
Right.
Dancing. Talking about different projects, debating topics, whatever.
One thing we did last week was we basically kind of told you guys that if you had any projects that you wanted us to shout, we would be happy to do that. We'd be happy to put them up on the website and then talk about them on the SHIRO show. And I didn't realize when I said that then that like this next week would be entirely about you guys. Like I looked at all of our stories that we have to tell, and it's really all about you guys. It's about the community. It's about what's going on, and what cool things you guys are, as it should be. Yeah, what cool things you guys are doing. So we're just delivering the mail here. We're telling the news, but it's all you guys that are doing the cool stuff, which is what we're going to get into right here. I'll bring up the browser here. And we're going to scroll down. Whoop. Lots of cool stuff. We kicked off the weekend with a question to everyone on social media. I made up this little image of, Marty McFly hopping out of a Sega Saturn because he just...
Is that how it happened in the show movie?
That's how it happened. He came back changing Saturn's past. Well, actually, we did a podcast 3 years ago. It was like the What If cast with Sega Lord X, and Pat kind of kicked it off saying, we're the only podcast to go back and right history's wrongs or whatever, or go back and change
some dumb saying that I made.
Whatever. It got me thinking, like why not ask people in the community, people in the scene, what they thought, hypothetically would be would make the most significant change. So this was like a fun little thought experiment, and I didn't expect so many answers from folks, but and I'm going to make this quick, but I made like a little Family Feud board. So the top 10 answers on the board were everybody, like mostly everybody, even people who answered multiple answers, like their number one answer was no early launch. And I think that is a good launch. I think that's a good one.
There's no such thing as a free launch.
There's no such thing as a free launch, but there is an early launch, and it has detrimental effects. The truth is that early launch kind of had ripple effects to, for so many other things. I mean, we've talked about the Tiger teams who were working on, day one development stuff,
Day
they were
one DLC.
And a lot of them just were not there. They're like, we're working on this project, but you're not going to have it for your early launch because our goal was, Saturn Day. And, then there was
Saturn Dave.
No, that's not what I mean at all. But nice try.
Trying my best here. Can't all be winners, my friend.
Right. So no early launch, resounding across the board. There were a few folks who, once I posted this up, they're like, well, I don't really think that would make that much of a difference. I was just like, okay, but this is not me saying this. I mean, I agree, but this is everybody in the community was basically saying that they didn't think that the early launch should have happened. And then the next thing is, of course, like this got the second amount of votes was just more games, more which fans are taken care of right now, 25 years later. But at the time, I know a lot of people kind of had a chip on their shoulder about that and would have just liked more localizations, more RPGs, more shooters. We just wanted that stuff.
Like, didn't we literally get like 1/4 of the library here in America?
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, maybe even less than 1/4. Yeah, it's got to be less than 1/4 because there were like there's over 1,000, maybe 2,000. Somebody's got to throw that in the comments, but it was a lot. There's a lot of games. Now, mind you, a lot of those are hentai games. A lot of those are mahjong games.
Hey, games nonetheless.
We got quite a few like crazy visual novel things, going on. But for the most part, Saturn got a lot of games in Japan that we just didn't get here. So that was number 2. Moving along, number 3. I'm sorry, 32X fans. I'm sorry, Genovi. I'm so sorry.
People of it.
Andrew Rosa, Mastercast. I'm really sorry, but like there was a lot of 32X hate, or just like erase it from the history books.
I'm just glad that they gave the Sega CD some respect, though.
Yeah,
as it should be.
There actually was quite a few people. That's jumping ahead, of course, but there were quite a few people. I don't actually think I have that on the top 10 board, but there were quite a few people that just said, hold back Saturn and keep supporting Genesis, just like Nintendo did with the SNES. Release a lot of like, SVP games or, SVP chip games, or just like keep pushing the Genesis because it was doing financially well and would have continued to do so for at least another year. But I guess the problem with that is then PlayStation gets way out ahead of you, and it becomes really obvious that they're like the top dog there. So I don't know, that's kind of hypothetical, but definitely lots of people saying they didn't want the 32X. A lot of people saying they didn't want Bernie. I'm sorry, Bernie Stoller, but there are a lot of folks who are just like, go back and make it so that his parents didn't meet or something.
Well, that was messed up.
That's messed up. That's below the belt. I mean, honestly, Bernie did.
Can't you just have it so he doesn't meet any Sega executives, like pop his tires, so he misses the meeting?
I know, it's just interview? Like that's taking it a little far, and I'm surprised. Maybe people misunderstand like what an impact Bernie had. He made mistakes for sure, but I mean, he wasn't like as bad as people make it out. Just like Tom Kalinske wasn't as good as people think. I mean, everybody makes mistakes.
Yeah,
but,
and these are the reason one of the Dreamcast was pretty successful in its marketing in the United States too.
Yeah. I mean, its
popularity.
I'm not a Stoller fan when it comes to the Saturn, but I do realize that he at least he didn't fumble with the Dreamcast launch. I think he did an okay job there. But I mean, for all the good it did, Anyway, lower price. That's probably a really good one, I think. Like if they were able to pivot right there on the spot and just say, you know what, forget it. We're going to take a loss on this and we're going to just give it to folks at the same price as PlayStation, might have made it more competitive just from the offset, considering the early launch had already happened. I would say that
or it might have sunk them completely.
It could have sunk them completely, but here's the thing. They ended up sinking anyway and losing a bunch of money anyway, you know what I'm saying? So it might have been...
What's a year or two earlier? It's a year or two difference, right?
Yeah, and then, they might not have had to, down the road, give away like 3 flagship titles for free just to sell it at a discount. You've got 3D Sonic pack-in game. That's kind of a no-brainer. Lots of people think that wouldn't make a difference, but I kind of agree that it definitely would make a difference in the West. Maybe not in Japan, but then that didn't matter. I kind of like to think
they sold it well in Japan. So.
Yeah, they should have just done what they do in Japan, done it their way, and agreed to let us do it our way, and just kind of like have it, and then in Europe, like let them do it their way without the influence of Sega of America for Europe, because there were quite a few European fans who were not too happy about Sega of America's influence on the way they did things in Sega of Europe. So I think every territory just kind of wanted to be able to do things their own way, and that's just not what happened. Better dev tools.
Sadness.
Better dev tools and libraries would have happened without the early launch, though. So you see how it's like, you know, putting the cart before the horse or whatever, you know. So anyway, if you don't have an early launch, then you have more time for better dev tools and libraries. Fully 3D hardware, I don't know about that one. I love the fact that Saturn's a 2D powerhouse. I know that's a cliche statement.
I think maybe
now.
they should have just doubled down on the 2D.
They could have done that too. They could have made it incredibly... I mean, I don't know how you'd make it a better 2D machine than it is right now, because it literally was the best back then and almost still is, you know. But I mean, some people would argue the Neo Geo. But I mean, Saturn's got amazing 2D capability. It's just that at that time, it would have seemed kind of weird move to go all 2D, when in the arcade, you're doing Virtua Fighter and Virtua Racing. And the whole idea back then was to bring the arcade home. You couldn't have done it. I'm talking too much, Pat. You take these last two.
I gotcha. All right, so the next one is Klinsky in charge, and I'm kind of in the middle about that one myself. As much as I do think Klinsky was a really great powerhouse, I mean, he obviously didn't do as well as he did during the years of Saturn and the first couple of years and the decisions he made. So I don't know how much better it would have been in that regards. Sadly.
Well, I think... Okay, so personally, I don't think that he's like Superman or anything. You know, I don't think that he could just save everything. But I do feel like it was ineffective to have him as a lame duck, you know? It was ineffective to have him as the CEO, but then not allow him to execute on his plans. You know, either have him be CEO and allow him to execute on his strategies, or just don't have him and you know, go with Bernie from the beginning or something like that. You know, obviously that wouldn't have happened in history because Bernie was working for Sony. But the idea is, you know, like, if you're going to launch a console and you're going to appoint a CEO, allow him to execute on his strategies in the market and territory that he knows best, you know? So again, I'm kind of with you on that. It's not like Klinsky is a silver bullet, but again, he was so ineffective by them not allowing him the control that he needed in order to act as CEO, you know? And then
so it's definitely all over the place. And
then finally, just get rid of the competition altogether by partnering with them, you know? Sleep with the enemy. And who knows, we'd have like
sleep with you.
We'd have a Sony Saturn, or we'd have a Sega PlayStation. I don't know. That would be interesting.
A Sega PlayStation. I'd be down for that.
Honestly,
maybe they could have had a Sega Nintendo station.
Yeah, for the Family Feud, for the purpose of the Family Feud thing, I kind of had to shorten these, but I had an equal number of people saying that we should have signed Silicon Graphics for that deal, and then an equal number of people saying, oh, we should have just, you know, done that partnership with Sony, and then you don't have this huge competitor. And if anything, you got a partner with deep pockets who really knows how to make hardware and has a lot of the chips on the shelf, you know? So, I mean, those are all thoughts. Those are all really interesting thoughts. And then, you know, we had a few people that, you know, said nothing. I would change nothing. And I mean, that's me, actually. I've been that guy before where I'm just like, oh, well, if you change anything, then we're not here doing this show, you know, and we don't really have a lot to talk about because the history wouldn't be that interesting.
Well, we could say that it's the greatest console of all time because it's still successful. Yeah. And they have like 5 other consoles, so you never know.
Yeah, I mean, the Saturn is great in spite of all of the history. It's all water under the bridge at this point, and here we are talking about it. But yeah, so there are so many more that I cannot read at this time because this is so small. You know, less complicated.
Talk to the one that I said, though. I think that's the most important one.
Yeah. So Pat, he took this question completely different, and this just shows you how different Pat's think. Pat's like this over here with dollar signs in his eyes. He's like, I wanted to go back.
I won't buy 12 copies of an.
He's like, forget Sega's failures. I just want to go back and buy 12 copies of Magic Knight Rare.
Specifically 12 copies.
You're such an opportunist. You're just like,
you know, you gotta take it as you see it. You know, you gotta get those stonks, get those gains. You know. Yeah. How it goes. But yeah, I think that's at the very bottom that you put it as buy all the rare games or something. Yeah. But yeah, so anyway, I think there's a lot of opportunity that they could have done to fix the console and I guess turn the direction. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's a what if, you know? What if the sky was red and the ocean was green, you know? Yeah. But yeah, for sure, I think there's a lot of really good comments from people as well talking
Sorry,
about
I was getting a
as well.
call.
Very unprofessional. No.
Yeah, I know. So anyway, oh, sorry guys. Yeah, I was getting a call. But yeah, so there was a lot of impressions from you guys of different things, and it was just an interesting little way to kick off the week. And
exactly.
And then after that, moving forward, we've got. I had a guy on one of the sites. It was Drew Kanaz. He posted up this little video that he had basically managed to cut up the PCB on a Retrobit wireless and jam all of the components into an MK1, or like a Western, what we call the Western Model 1. It's not really Model 1, but I'm not going to get into that. The fact is,
my nickname for it is the awful controller.
The boomerang, the fat controller, the whatever you want to call it. Yeah, it is the Western launch model, the redesign. And he was able to, using a donor controller and then using a Retrobit, write up this really nice guide for folks to follow if you guys are technically inclined, because this doesn't look easy, but he lays it out. Everything you need, all the steps are right here. He was so kind for he didn't have his own website. He does have his own YouTube channel, and we posted a video showing showing his I guess results, and that he got it working, but he didn't have a website to host this stuff. So he was generous enough to give us this information, allow us to host it on the SHIRO site for you guys as a resource. If anybody wants to do this, if you prefer this controller, and I mean, I kind of gave him a hard time in the article. I joked that, we're more than happy to we'll be more than happy to pass you your controller of choice as we go head to head in a Street Fighter 03 match, because I'm going to be much better on the Japanese pad than I am going to be on that other one, because that other one, the buttons just feel mushy to me, but that could just be me. Anybody who happened to use this controller back in the day and get good with it, I can understand how you would prefer it now. But
it's all about the fight stick, Dave.
Admittedly, I was not there on launch day. I wasn't there day one. My first Saturn that I got in late 96 or January 97, it was like Christmas, was a Model 2, was like a round button Saturn, and it had the Japanese original pad design. So that's the one that I came up on, and that's why I love that pad, because to me that's the original pad that I had. But my first pad actually was the I guess the American style pad. Yeah. I like the aesthetics of it, but it just felt awful to play as. I felt much better on the Japanese style pad. Wow. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. The shoulder buttons are just unforgivable. I've ran into a few folks on the Facebook groups and on Twitter and stuff like that who just swear by the boomerang pad, and they just say that that's what they have bigger hands, or it just feels more comfortable to them, or it's just what they came up on. I've known people who are really good at knights, like Morgan Patrick in one of the groups. She swore by this thing, and she said that that's how she played knights. I couldn't imagine how anybody would play knights with a digital pad in the first place, let alone that digital pad, but that's the one she preferred. And she was quite good at it, all things considered. So, I mean, for those that really prefer this pad, now you have a guide to make a wireless version of it. And it's kind of interesting. I'm really interested in trying it out, because he says he replaces the micro switches in the controller, in the thumb, the shoulder buttons. Yes. So that's the thing that's going to make it better is by where are those? Yeah, he gives you. He gives you some examples of some micro switches that you can pick up from Mouser, or what is the other company that supplies electronics, stuff like that. Probably just a bunch of any electronic DigiKey or something. Yeah, DigiKey or Mouser online. Grangers, you can get this stuff cheap. And if you put new micro switches in it, then I can understand how it would be an improvement. And then we're just talking about the feel of the pad. But yeah, so you've got that going on. And I just want to mention while we're at it that I think it's worth mentioning that I've had a lot of issues. I don't have any problems just playing games with the Retrobit pads, but I have noticed since getting a satiator, and even back with the mode, that sometimes they just don't play nicely with the wireless pad because of the fact that they're looking for input at boot up, and it takes a while for it to sync, Have you noticed that at all?
You know, it's funny with the not with the Saturn, but with the Genesis. When I got the Mega SD and I used that, I could not actually run the menu from that either.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, like the controllers when you're playing, they work fine, and the latency is almost negatable or negligible. But it's like sometimes I experience issues that are immediately solved by plugging in a wired controller. And either it's a fluke, but it's happened so many times now where a game will lock up. I'm using an ODE, mind you, not a disc. If it's a disc, it's smooth sailing the whole way. But if it's an ODE, either the mode or the satiator, I've noticed that sometimes I'll get lockups or I'll get some kind of errors, black screen errors, that are instantly solved by just rebooting the console with a wired controller. So I don't know. Go figure. I feel like that's worth mentioning, and maybe some folks have some insight into why that might be happening. But next on the list is crazy. It's something that kind of comes out of left field. Yesterday, I wake up.
Left field though.
Well, yesterday is April Fool's, right? And so I wake up, and this is one of the first things I see. I think Nick was one of the first people to like share it out, and I'm just thinking like, okay, that's fake news, right? Am I allowed to say that, or is YouTube gonna hit me for saying fake news?
We're banned now. we're offline.
But I'm just like, okay, it's April Fool's and everything, and then like Daniel over on one of the groups is, posting the same thing, and I'm just like, okay, what the heck? So come to find out,
I remember, he has the videos of that, and he was talked about that, and I was like, wait, what?
So the Last Dynasty, this is a game that if you've been in the Saturn scene and you've been in like groups either on Twitter or Facebook, it's been talked about for a few years now. People have shared out this information that this game exists and that it's complete, and that it was basically like ready to go out the door, but they just didn't release it. And I did the write-up on this. I can only assume, we can only really speculate that the reasons were that Sierra wasn't going to make any money on it, I guess. And at this point, it probably
wasn't profitable at all.
It just wasn't profitable. So they were like, okay, well, we've put this much money in so far to develop it, but we're going to be out this much more money if we pay for like a huge print run that doesn't sell. So it's like sometimes you just have to cut your losses if things aren't looking good. And who knows, maybe the original one for the PC didn't do that well. I don't know. I don't really have a whole lot of...
I certainly haven't heard of the game before until it started posting on here.
Yeah, it's like a mashup of Myst versus Wing Commander or something like that. So there's
I thought the same thing.
Yeah, you got like the Colony Wars thing where you're like in a spaceship shooting, but then there's also like FMV and like Myst elements, like where you're doing adventure stuff and everything like that. So anyway, the image gets dumped a couple days ago on the Hidden Palace.
Yeah, it said it went. Was it the 31st, right?
It was the 30th. Well, okay, I guess it went up on the 30th, but they're saying the published date.
On there.
Yeah. Well, right here it says the 30th. This is.
Oh, that's weird.
But anyway,
it might be one of those time zone things. Whatever.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's developed by Cocktail Vision, published by Sierra Online. Here's a picture of the original. This is the CDR version, the like prototype discs that I guess were auctioned a few years ago. And then Saturn Guru, this is his old video on YouTube that you guys can check out. This was shared like in 2018, showing that the silvers, the pre-production silvers, were actually running on a stock Saturn. And he has subsequently released his version of the game. I can only imagine.
And that's Daniel, right?
That's Daniel Smith over on the Collectors of America. Sorry, not Collectors of America. Saturn Collectors and Gamers.
Yes, a lot of collectors.
There's a lot of Saturn groups on Facebook. I know some of you folks aren't even on Facebook, so it's hard to keep straight. But here is a copy of the box shots, front and back of the PC box, a little description that we pulled from Moby Games, so they're credited there, and some screenshots. We're actually going to be streaming this today on the. I figured, I can't pass up the opportunity to stream an unreleased game. We kind of have to. Cool. I have some other stuff on Satiator, like some pinball stuff, but we've been playing pinball now for like 2 or 3 weeks. I don't know. So
we need to take a pinball break.
Yeah, we need to take a pinball break. And this is kind of exciting that there is yet another unreleased game that is now released. So that's amazing.
It just goes to
news.
show how many other unreleased games are out there, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't even know. Like there's a Russian site. I forget the name of it, but there's a Russian site that has like a listing of like several unreleased games, and you know, some of them have had like beta or prototype leaks. Some of them are, you know, say that they were 100% complete, but they're still missing. This is just one of those ones that was like supposedly 100% complete minus a few bug fixes, but it was basically ready to go and unreleased. So that's kind of crazy. But yeah, and April Fools, you know, you don't expect any real news on April Fools, but I kid you not, guys, you can download this right now from Hidden Palace, or there's like a direct link on our website. You can download this ROM. Pat and I both have. It's real. I kid you not. So this is, you know, we're not pulling your leg here. And yeah, to be honest, well, you're gonna see for yourself. There is some cheesy goodness though in the FMV cutscenes and stuff like that. If you're into the whole like B movie kind of thing, I think you might get a kick out of it. But yeah, as games go, I can see why maybe they didn't release it. Sorry. Yeah, we need to move on because we got so much to talk about. Let's see. Bulk slash localization. So the SHIRO disc. So I want to say like a month or two ago, some folks were just kind of like talking about like, I want to get in on a project. What's out there that hasn't been, you know, translated, or what could we work on together? And like 4 different guys got together to work on this bulk slash localization, and I was just amazed to see this come together kind of like from the beginning and see these guys work together. You've got Lacquerware or Greg Lacquerware, you got Danthrax 4, you got Memphis or Mamdu, he's been on the streams before. He's in our chat a lot, and he's in the SHIRO Discord server. And then Galleon, if I'm saying that right, Galleon or Galleon.
Galonian.
Yeah. Well, I think it's Galleon. Anyway, they've all been working. They've all been working, doing, you know, they've been extracting images. They've been patching the image parts. They've been doing they're working on the voiceover. They're trying to get actors or actresses to help with that. So if you're interested in this project and you happen to be like a voice actor, there's contact info at the bottom here that you can get in touch with them, because they are looking for people who can do a good job on this. They've posted.
I should really apply.
You should apply.
Yeah, I should apply and see if I can get a role.
Who knows? Can you do a female voice? I think that's what they're asking for here.
Is it only female voices?
Well, they said actresses. So
actresses. I gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, so anyway, but they did post up like a proof of concept video showing that it's very possible that they've already got it figured out how to insert that audio. They really just need the person to do the voiceover, and then they've got proof showing, you know, how they're able to get all the characters localized. So this is excellent news. Bulk Slash is an amazing game. I know Sam, the Southern Sega gentleman, is going to be hugely excited about this.
He's gonna have a backflip, because I think he was one to work on that too.
Yeah, he was. And I mean, I imagine that he would be if it wasn't for the fact that he's been so busy and he's been out on the road working really hard. But I know that he's back right now for like a couple weeks stint, so he's probably going to be doing putting some kind of video up. First and foremost, spending time with the family, that's always first priority, but if he gets any time, I wouldn't be surprised if he posts something up about this, or you know, eventually does a video, because he's done Bulk Slash streams before, and he even did some localized box art for it. So I know he's big on this game because he's a huge mecha fan. So for all those of you that like Bulk Slash, hell, for those of you who haven't played it, you definitely need to go play it and experience it. It's a great game on the Saturn. It incorporates 2D and 3D very well, and with the English translation, it's going to be that much more accessible. So it was already a pretty accessible game, but you just don't know what they're saying, you know?
Who cares? As long as it's fun, what does it matter, right?
Yeah, exactly. This is all you. This was your write-up, Pat.
Gotcha. Sounds good. All right, so I know it's sort of a little bit off the beaten path for us to go into Dreamcast stuff, even though we've done it before. But, you know, as a massive Sakura Wars fan, I always love getting games for it, because, you know, we really didn't get a lot in the States. We really got So Long My Love, and, of course, the new Sakura Wars game on Dreamcast. Sorry, on Dreamcast. The new Sakura Wars on the PS4, which I'm still playing through. It's really fun. Recommend that. But yeah, recently Derek, aka A-Team, who has also done before the Dreamcast games for translations for Evangelion and Taxi 2, which I had a little hand in doing Taxi 2's FMV subtitles. But enough for me. It's about him. So he decided, hey, why don't I try doing a Sakura Wars columns? Like, all right, go for it, dude. So he's slowly been translating it, and it was to the point where he was saying that besides the press start button in the main menu text, everything else was in pure Japanese, so pretty much everything had to be converted. As you can see, it went from that to, if you scroll down a little bit, to that right there. Right. Where the text for the English, for, of course, Iris, the best character, of course. Mm-hmm. But basically, it's basically a basic column games, connect them, but there's a bunch of voice acting, a lot of really fun mini games, and I played for a little bit, and it was a ton of fun. I would recommend people try this out when it drops, because I'm not typically a puzzle guy, but I definitely think it was a lot of fun. Did you get a chance to play this at all, Dave? Or
I haven't gotten to play. I am definitely interested. In fact, I am a novice when it comes to columns, but I figured this is the perfect way for me to break into it. I have my mode ready. I am going to get this on the mode. I hope we have an opportunity to stream it. I think that ought to be you, really. And I should just do color commentary or whatever. But I definitely want to play this game. And actually, I'm very impressed with how thorough Derek is, because not only did he translate the game, he included all of the DLC that's embedded onto the disc, so you can actually, using the on-disc browser, you can go into the DLC area and download all of the DLC off the disc onto your VMU. So that's awesome right there. And then on top of that, he went one step further and he translated the little graphic for the VMU. So I mean, like, he went all out. So when this launches, I mean, you literally could put a plastic wrapper on this thing, and it would feel like an American Dreamcast release, I
would definitely be down to buy a repro of that.
I
I'm
would
not
too.
Usually a fan of it, but yeah, I would be down to buy it, especially on Dreamcast.
So yeah, but, I mean, this is polished, like what he's finally going to release, and I know that he's taking this very seriously, because he's talked about. He's very meticulous and talked about how important each little tiny aspect of this game is. And, someone might go and think, okay, well, it's a puzzle game. How complicated could it be? But like, he's really gone deep into like all the little
trust me, there's a lot of stuff on there.
So yeah, I'm excited to put this on my mode and rock it on my Dreamcast for sure. So and here's all of his contact information. There's a link to the Sega Extreme page, the Dreamcast Talk forums, his GitHub, the Twitter. So we've got everything here, including his YouTube channel where you can check out videos of it.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny. He came into the community like about a year or so ago, just chatting and talking with us, and like
it was more than that. Exploded. I think it was like a couple years ago.
Probably, yeah.
But I mean, he's one of those ones that have been with us for a while and in chats and stuff like that, and so it's really exciting to see him start working on projects and putting
he's
stuff
like
out.
He's like blowing through a bunch of them. Like it's just like one after another. Like he's done like 3 in a span of a few months.
Exactly. So
it's crazy.
Very prolific.
And they're great games.
Yeah, these folks are killing it. Next up, more from the community. We've got Sansagolo, or G Sansagolo, I think is what he goes by on Twitter and Facebook, right?
Yep, and it's a few of them.
It's a few of them. Okay, so yeah, so this guy, and we talked to him on the cast. He was in our chat during the live stream. He may join us today during the live stream, but he basically does visual novels. And I noticed that he does them, they're multi-platform. Like one of them I clicked through and I saw like this one right here is playable online in like a higher, where was it? Actually, I don't know if this is the right link, but I clicked through to one of his projects before, and I noticed that it was like in higher res, and he was like, it was playable online, and then he's like porting it to the Saturn, I believe
I think that's what he's doing for a few of his games. It's like simultaneous releases, which
so like this one, for
really
example,
cool.
Red Moon Lost Days, you can or the Nightfall Riot, it's playable online, but then he's also like downscaling it and putting it on the Saturn, which is awesome. I mean, hopefully that means that the Saturn has a bright future of lots of not graphic novels, but visual novels, you know. So
yeah,
I know a lot of people are into
Chris
those.
Mingle, we got the Lighthouse one that just dropped.
Exactly.
I mean, it's the amount of visual novels we can have is endless. So it's only a matter of time till we get Snatcher 2.
Snatcher 2 would be amazing. That would be awesome. Maybe, who knows? Maybe one day we'll have like our own little SHIRO visual novel. I'd have to figure out
the dating sim. Date one of the SHIROs.
Date one of the SHIRO. No. I wouldn't go that way with it. Oh man. But yeah. So we welcome you guys. If you guys are working on projects that you would like a signal boost, you would like us to talk about it on the show, we would be more than happy to do so. All you have to do is join we put a link in the description for our Discord, which you guys are more than welcome to join. And then just DM either Patrick or myself with the information, and we'll get a write-up onto the website. And we are more than happy to feature community projects, because you know this is what we do, and we're super excited about all the cool stuff you guys are making. It's just crazy that you know. I know it's cliche to say the Saturn is our future by now, because that's been repeated quite a few times, but I mean,
it's true.
It's true. We really, like, the fans really are just taking it into their own hands to like
also go to the
make
article.
stuff happen.
Did you like that little reference I put in there to the best dating sim?
Oh, was it a Doozy J reference?
Yeah, GR Doozy.
Yeah, that's right. I saw that screenshot and I was like, wait a second. That's not one of his games. But yeah, no, we need a localization on that. I'm not kidding. You know, that would be awesome.
I'll get something going.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'll rename whoever that guy is, the whale guy, Whale Man. He's officially just going to be named Whale Man. I don't care about keeping keeping integrity. It's going to be Whale Man if I translate it. So
yeah,
if you don't
absolutely.
like that, too bad.
Yeah. I mean, so just to recap, we had community opinions on Saturn's, troubled past. We had a Western MK1 pad mod for cramming retrobit internals into the Western MK1 pad. If you guys want to check that out, Drew Canaz did the mod, and he also wrote up the guide. So thank you, Drew. Appreciate it. And he also mentioned that he has a couple other projects in the works that he does plan on sharing with SHIRO. So stay tuned for those. If you guys are technically, hardware inclined and you guys are good with a soldering iron, those will be things to look out for. We had an unreleased game drop on April Fool's. Well, before April Fool's, but we found out about it on April Fool's. So we thought it was an April Fool's. We thought it was an April Fool's, but nope, it's real, and that's crazy. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that in the days and months to come. If it'll, get a mention on the game history preservation or whatever, with Frank Cifaldi or, Kelsey Lewin, right? She's a part of that project as well, right? I mean, you'd imagine something like this would be important to those folks for sure. And I
just think that Saturn really just has the low light when it comes to that stuff.
It does. It's true. I mean, if anything from Nintendo 64 or 64DD comes out or anything like that, it's like the hugest news ever. But if it's like Saturn,
it'd break the internet. This one, it's like, oh, it's Saturn. It's like, all right, that's cool. Add it to the archive, I guess. Whatever.
People are so indifferent, and they're like, well, I guess it doesn't help that it's not like a crazy, anime or weeb style game, like if it was, then I'm sure that would make more waves, but instead it's just kind of
we'll
like
have to go to Japan and scour the archives and see if we could find anything.
We've got a bulk / English localization that's looking amazing. I don't think it's going to take them that long to finish. Honestly, it sounds like they are working quickly on it, and so I'm super stoked to play that. Sakura Wars Columns 2 on Dreamcast, also very nearing completion. Very exciting. We're not a Dreamcast site, but that doesn't matter. We're all Dreamcast fans. Some of us even
exactly. It's almost talking about Dreamcast anyways.
Exactly. So we love the Dreamcast, and we're super excited for Sakura Wars Columns 2. Thank you, Derek, for that. A team, and then
thank you, man. He's in the chat He's in the chat too, by the way, if you want to
Awesome.
hit him up.
Yes. Thank you, Derek. Thank you so much for the work you've done for the community. And thanks for just being a part of the SHIRO server and being active. And then, of course, G. Sansagolo with his 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 visual novels. I can only imagine that he's going to keep knocking these out of the park. He said that the latest one that he's working on, Red Moon, is has like a 4-month development cycle, and it'll be ready to go. So,
oh wow,
he's got his ducks in a row.
Play that one.
He's like, I write the script, I got all the assets, then I just go boom, 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 and it's done.
Yeah.
So
I mean, once he has the engine done and all set in stone, it shouldn't be too hard.
I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that he's porting them, from another platform. So he's got them all. He's basically got them all finished, and then he's just like porting them onto the Saturn. So it's just a matter of it's just a matter of how long that takes for that process.
I'm pumped to play him.
For a week of a lot of what seems like a lot of news, we kind of like burned through that pretty quickly. we got done before
we're
the
fast
hour.
Talkers.
Yeah, we're fast talkers.
Yeah, I mean, if you want, we can talk about a topic or something that you
this
like to talk
true.
About, or
this
or we can
is
take
true.
a question. If anybody in the chat wants to ask us something, I guess we'll see the first thing somebody wants us to talk about.
Well, you can open up. You can actually open up the chat if you want. You can unmute everybody. Because
I gotcha.
We're not starting the stream yet. We usually start that hour 2, but we got like 15 minutes to burn here. So I guess I could switch over to the stream.
Yeah, it's cool.
We speed run. We speed run that. That's what we did.
Yeah. Actually, there's something I might want to talk about. Is that what future translations would you like that's not Princess Crown?
Yeah. So I'm not one of those people who's like super dying to have Princess Crown. I mean, I've played Princess Crown.
I'm not saying, I just meant like just anything else. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, go ahead.
Oh yeah. Oh, Emerald Nova's in here too.
So for me, your green screen just came down. You guys have seen you've pulled back the curtain. Literally pulled back the curtain. Whoa, Pat! Now it's down. Way.
Everything's falling down.
Everything's falling down. Okay.
I'm gonna do this. New strategy. Okay, we're good. We're good.
We've got a bunch of like creases. We got a bunch of creases now. You guys have seen it here first. No, for me personally, I'm gonna say despite it being quite playable in English, I would love to see Wachenroder receive a translation. I'm a huge like cyberpunk guy, steampunk cyberpunk kind of thing. I love the artwork and yeah, I mean, we're okay.
So any
Wachenroder for me would probably be close to number 1. One that I would love to see translated, but I don't know. It would be the most monumental task. Would be that Monogatari. What is the full title? It's like a mouthful, but it's the hand-drawn, huge sprites. And I know part of the title is the Monogatari game. I have it, and it's like a 2-disc game. It's like super thick, has a huge book that comes with it, and The Island of Seven Winds, I think, is the localized title. But I would love to see that translated. And I know that a Spanish translation was in the works years ago, and I don't know if it was ever completed. And I imagine, if they translate it into any Latin-based language, they'd be able to then easily translate it into English. But again, that's a game that I would love just because of the art and the music. It's pretty cool, and I'm a big point-and-click adventure game, fan personally. But yeah.
There's actually one I want though.
What's that?
The one I want really badly. Shin Megami Tensei Digital Devil Summoner.
Oh yeah. The SMT games are awesome, and there's like two of those on the Saturn, 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah, but I would love the Digital Devil Summoner. That'd be great to have on there.
Yeah, and then is somebody working on Soul Hackers for Saturn?
Somebody is working on Soul Hackers, I believe.
Because there was like a 3DS version that was translated, right? And I don't know if they're working off of that for the assets, or that's a project I need to look more into so that I have more information to speak on it knowledgeably. But at least it was something that I saw in passing that somebody was working on Soul Hackers, and I'd be down for that.
What about you guys in chat, in the voice chat?
Hi everyone, it's James.
I just kind of been sitting quietly, but I did want to poke in on that Soul Hackers thing.
From what I've heard, the SMT translation project was some guy managed to figure out a way to strip the text out of the DS version and have a proof of concept in the Saturn version. But the progress has been slow and there haven't been a lot of updates. So it looks like it's doable. And if someone wanted to put the effort in, it should be able to be done without a whole heck of a lot of trouble compared to some other translation projects. But I just don't think there's a lot of will there, considering it's not like a super exclusive game like some of the other Saturn RPGs might have been.
Yeah, some of these things just aren't very high priority if they've already been released on other things. I mean, I think that's part of the reason that Princess Crown, there's not been that much of a rush on it. It's like people can play it, Grandia took forever.
Before, James?
What's that?
James was saying something, but I think got cut off.
Kind of cut off.
Yeah. There's like half a dozen people in chat right now, so we're probably all gonna start talking over each other once something interesting comes up for everyone.
Yeah, I think I'm muted, but yeah, James, you can talk if you want. Sorry about that. But yeah, what about what about you, Trekkies Unite? Is there or actually no? I guess Emerald, is there anything you want that hasn't been really announced yet or that hasn't been worked on? I think that is a no.
Well, I mean,
There's a no, Emerald.
Those guys are so busy working on new games, which is also amazing. And I have to say I'm probably more excited for English translations get a lot of attention just because they're known quantities. They're like known games that people have wanted for years, and so whenever you see like something like Bulk Slash is getting an English translation, everybody throws their hands up and is like, oh, I gotta play that, but I mean, I've been playing Bulk Slash for years, and so it's not like I haven't experienced it, right? Experiencing it in English would be great, and definitely I will give it another playthrough in English, but that doesn't add or take away from the fact of what a great game it is. But yeah, I've already played that, so like I'm really excited to see like what happens with Seni Ryu, for example, like Enroll Nova's game. He's got like a good solid like idea and framework there, but to see that fleshed out into the form of a game for me is going to be really exciting. And like XL2, the stuff that he's working on, the sky's the limit, really. I can't wait to see what's going to happen for next year's homebrew competition, because it seems like these things just keep getting better and better every year, and more people start dogpiling on, as far as like, well, I want to make, if they've got experience and they want to start, poking around the Saturn hardware, it just seems like a lot can be done with this machine that hasn't really been, looked into. There's a lot of things you can get working on it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
what about
sorry. Yeah, I'm trying not to talk over everyone, but I did want to address a couple of things that you said. I am in agreement that it's a lot easier for translation projects to get more attention and more focus, especially when they're near completion, than the homebrew projects, the original projects, and that's part of the reason why I split up the competition into those two categories: original game and Hacks Batches translation. And I try to throw more money at the prizes for original games for that reason, because I want to see the more original stuff. It does take more effort to get the equivalent amount of content on screen because you have to source everything.
Absolutely.
But the thing is, the translation guys and the original game guys, they're not. We all talk to each other, but we hardly ever do the other guys' things. Like, I have no idea how to even start with translation, and I'm sure Trekkies can talk, for hours about translation, but I don't know that Trekkies has actually tried to do an original game because he's so focused on all these projects that he's part of. I would also like to say that on the note of...
I am literally right now programming Final Fantasy as we speak.
Yeah,
Ooh,
Final Fantasy is still a port.
But I mean, he's the master.
From no source code.
Yeah, I mean,
you have to rewrite the engine. I respect that. That is a very hard piece of work to do. But as far as getting original assets together, the design work and the sprite work and the music have been done.
Right, but with Trekkies, just to argue in his case is that
not an artist.
He does a lot of extraction and then like upscaling or there's a lot that goes into what he does that I would say is a little different than your typical patcher, your typical, asset patcher, somebody who goes in and just messes with the hex file. It's like Trekkies is remastering a lot of the content and then finding ways to insert it back in the game and trick the game into running it, which I do think. Correct. Yeah, which I do think he's kind of like cornered he's kind of become the guy for that kind of stuff. So that's right. I respect that a lot. But absolutely, Emerald, I agree with what you're saying, and I'm just hoping, I don't think we were even equipped to really showcase you guys as much as we should have been. Hopefully by next year we will be, and that's going to be our goal, is to really push it hard. It's not about SHIRO. It's not about it's about what you guys are doing, and it's about the hard work that you're going to be doing for the next year to get prepared for that. I'm sure you guys are all, working your butts off to make great stuff that's going to impress all of us. So hopefully we're in a really good position to boost your signal next year and really help people understand that there's some really awesome stuff coming to the Saturn because of you guys.
Yeah, so at the moment I'm working on Blue Skies. It's a flight sim game. It's being directed and largely produced, I guess you'd say, by Xenos. And Xenos is the guy that did the art for Scenario, all the modeling.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so that's what I'm working on right now. Scenario is kind of on the back burner until the second half of the year, or until I finish Blue Skies, whichever comes first. And for this year's competition, I should say, because it's going to start in September or whatever, September it sounds like, and end on New Year's. I'm accepting donations to expand the prize pool. So this year I've just received the 3D prints, and I've already grabbed the money. So I'm actually starting to mail out this weekend all the prizes for everyone that won something this year. If I can get more money in the prize pool, I'll put a little bit more of my money this year again, but with all the shipping costs, it's actually like doubling my cost because I have to ship 3D prints. If more people come in, I can give prizes to a larger number of people, and I can expand the prize pool for the highest prizes.
Cool. Never know. Maybe we can throw some stuff in, like some Saturn games or something, and
maybe
if
you
people
can
really
throw
want
in
to autograph by us, we could
throw in a pre-fund printer. Right?
Yeah,
Nod, wink,
we'll,
wink.
We'll ship you a giant pre-fund printer. I imagine you'll be enjoying that.
Seriously though, Emerald, DM one of us with that information, like all the little bullet points, and we'll do a write-up and we'll talk about it and push it out. What your plans are and the kind of engagement and the cooperation that you want from the community. We will solicit people to donate if there's like a link that they can do that.
So actually, if you go to emeraldnova.com, I've opened up a relatively new section called Community.
Okay.
And I've tried to fill it out with as much historical information and bios of all the people in the Saturn homebrew community.
Right, the who's who.
Yeah, the who. It's basically a Rolodex with the people who they've worked with, some really short boilerplate interviews, and what projects they've been on. A lot of people have their pages filled out already. Some don't. I'm still working on it. Some people aren't available anymore.
Right.
Like some people from way back when, Rock and B and whatnot, and Cyber Warrior X.
Cyber Warrior.
But you can kind of piece together, like from a historical perspective, how things have evolved. There's links. There's pictures to different pieces of hardware. But on that same page, if you scroll down to the competition section, you'll see the results. Again, thank you guys for being judges. You'll see the results for this last year's competition, along with a donate button for this year's competition. And I will open the page up for the 2021 or the 26th anniversary, 27th, I forget.
Okay. Cool. Well, we will point folks to that page then and encourage them to visit it. Excellent. Yeah. I really thought that, this last competition was... I think it was a good success. I think it was a big success considering how early it is in the game, and assuming you do this annually and that it continues, it's only going to get bigger. And I do think that hopefully, and
a lot of people were interested.
I have all intentions to keep this going perpetually, even if I have to retire from homebrew. If my time runs out, I'm still going to keep funding it.
Continue to organize it.
If Scenario for some reason falls out, or I just don't have time to program anymore, I will still continue to fund this competition and try to organize a centralized database for helping people to get started.
Cool.
So I've been slacking on the tutorials, but I should eventually have tutorials on my website to get started in either Joe Engine or Y'all for how to actually build your own game.
That's
awesome.
awesome.
I want more people to try and enter.
That's awesome. That is good news. Excellent. So exciting stuff on the horizon, and we're really just grateful and privileged to be able to have you guys with us in the chat and have us on the SHIRO server. Check out Emerald's page. We will link it in the video once this thing goes live. Once this thing goes up as a VOD, we'll go ahead and put a link to that in the description. We'll probably even write something up on the website with links to forward you guys over there so that you check it out and that you're sure to donate to their cause over the next year, because the more that, like he says, the bigger the cash prize, the more involvement the more incentive people are going to have to get involved, because a lot of times these guys who are programmers, they can't really work on something if it's not going to at least pay the bills a little bit, or I know I was talking to Walfredo. I think it's Walfredo, who's he goes by Miss Salon, and he's working on a game where he's like, I can really only work on it in tiny little bits and pieces because it doesn't pay the bills at all. It's only like a passion project. So it's like, he's like, I got to prioritize things that are actually going to, pay the rent. So I can understand. But
I don't think the prize money is ever going to pay the rent. Like XL2 won first prize by a very slim margin over Seven Shades this last year, and he only got like a $20 or $25 cash prize and 3D print.
Okay. So, well,
unless some millionaire comes in and just dumps money on the competition, so
right,
that like all 20 entries or all 25 entries can all get like $500, I don't think it's going to happen.
That's an interesting idea, though. I wonder if someone out there would be interested in supporting such a thing, like on a larger scale.
Yeah.
Maybe even if it was like $1,000 or $5,000. It'd be interesting. It's definitely something that we can put out to the community, because I know there are folks out there who are have the means and they want to find good things to support. So
I think I've even heard people say that they'd be willing to fund their own translation team to get some of these games translated.
I have seen that personally, so that would be interesting.
I mean, we need to see more Patreons for these kinds of things. Like I've had people tell me to start one, but I don't think I can put the time commitment on to justify it. But definitely for translated games, I mean, Trekkies, you and some of the SX guys that work together on some of these things should definitely consider a Patreon just to like justify your own work, or at least
I'd back a Patreon for all the like Trekkies and Night of Dragon.
I think if you get into like doing translations, you can get into some legal trouble because technically you don't own the game you're getting money for.
Yeah,
I guess, but I think a lot of people like that do the FPGA projects also have a Patreon for like the CPS 1 cores and stuff like that.
Sure, but
and
that's like
own it, but yeah.
You're emulating. We're talking about like actually working with the assets. I think where Trekkies is coming from is that there's kind of like I don't know if it's spoken or unspoken, but there's a code to this, and it's like you never charge money. It's all supposed to be free. Kind of like free information, right? And so it's, if you get into this and you do this, you're doing it purely because your heart's in it, and when you release it, you don't want somebody taking that and then making a buck off of it, right? So it's like there's this really strong code among those people to just always have it be free. So I can understand why you don't want to get into that gray area, but again, I'm a content creator, and I understand why it's important to have folks have the ability to be able to support you in one way or another. So I can definitely see both sides of it for sure.
So totally a lot of fan games. There's many fan games that get away with this by giving away the game for free, having no restrictions, but saying this is like a donation. And they manage to stay out of trouble for that. But in general, for all of Saturn Homebrew, we're unless you're using YAL, we're all building off of SGL and SPL at least a little bit.
Exactly.
And even if you're using 100% YAL, you're still using a header file that was generated by Sega of America. So no matter what, we're stealing something from Sega when we make these games in order to get them to run on hardware.
You'd have to like.
It'd be nice if they had an option to buy the licenses, though.
Well,
to be fair, Sega had it on an unprotected FTP server in the 90s.
Sorry?
To be fair, it comes from an unprotected FTP server that Sega had in the 90s, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. So the homebrew community got really lucky a while back and managed to just open up Sega's servers and just download a bunch of useful stuff, which we're still using today. I have heard rumors of some people attempting getting past the front door in terms of attempting talks to actually print CDs that would run on hardware.
Yeah.
Like with actually talking to Sega or someone that has Sega's CD print, or whatever the CD
the wobble printer, whatever.
The wobble, the little proprietary protection.
It's money that leaves on the table.
Say that again?
Yep.
It's money that Sega are leaving at the table if they don't take the offer.
For sure.
Yeah. But then they'd argue that maybe the money wouldn't justify the amount that they would sell or something of that nature.
Yeah, it's kind of a niche thing that it may not be worth the amount of money to get like a factory up that could actually produce and print that again. May not be worth the amount they would get in return.
Right.
I mean, if Sony dumped the Vita and like PS3 discs for printing, I mean, imagine what Sega would probably have to do to get that up and running.
And a lot of these companies, they need a guarantee on their investment at this stage. It's like Sega was taking risks back in the 90s, but they don't really take those kind of risks anymore.
Like, love them or hate them, the only way you could probably get away with it is do like what Limited Run Games does, where you do okay, we're going to take pre-orders, however many we get, that's what we're making.
Yeah, you're taking the risk, and then they're just licensing it, and they're getting a cut of the profits, but you're the one assuming all the risk in that scenario. So provided you get permission, which is something we talked about recently, projects need to get permission. You do have to ask. You do have to have them say yes. You just can't decide, oh yeah, we're just gonna make a Sega licensed game or a Sega franchise game without the license. See how far that goes.
Yeah, you can't exactly do that.
I mean, you can try, but that kind of stuff usually catches up to you.
Future, we might end up with some clever hacker discovering a way of tricking the Saturn into booting a burned disk, much like how the PS2 recently had a new exploit discovered all these years later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, that comes down to user interest, the community interest. Like, if there's PS2, such a mainline and, it was such a successful console. You can just imagine how many people are interested in working on that machine. The more, and I mean, that right there is a great argument for why like Emerald's competition is so important, because we just want to get more and more people interested in actually working on the Saturn, because that could open up doors to things like that. Somebody making a discovery along the way. I mean, I know that Abrasive, that kind of stumbling on the satiator thing was kind of an accident, or it was a side effect of him looking into chiptune stuff for the Saturn sound hardware. So that's kind of the way things go. Sometimes you're poking around in certain areas and you find something else that is interesting and intriguing and worth exploring. So.
Gotcha. All right. Did we want to move on to the gameplay section?
Yeah,
we're running a little bit over now because of this, but yeah, thanks for discussion, guys. I guess
we can continue the discussion in the game stream, to be honest.
On the video, yeah.
Mm-hmm.